Today we have the episode which everyone loves, which is the book review. Hello friends, long time no see. As I told you some times ago on my Patreon account, I recently encountered some technical difficulties, mainly because of the pandemic and the poor health of Marek, our beloved cameraman. Thanks to him, I look like this and not like some blurred, colorful shape with a voice, which I certainly would if you left the technical matters to me. But recently he decided that 1 or 2 more weeks and he will die from boredom, so he literally was begging me to let him help me, and I kindly said yes. Of course, I'm just joking. It was me who was nagging him constantly to help me, so he finally agreed just to shut me up. And also, he was probably very excited about this new background, which we are still figuring out how to light it and everything. So that was probably one more reason why he finally agreed. Today we have the episode which everyone loves, which is the book review. I've got this one, what's it called? Understanding Fencing. I always mix the title and the subtitle. So, Understanding Fencing, the Unity of Theory and Practice. I've got this on my birthday, which was at the beginning of the January, but I won't tell you which birthday it was, because it's the best guarded secret in the galaxy. Recently, some nice lady in the grocery shop asked me about my ID card, which was actually very flattering, though I think that it might be reasoned by the fact that I spent like half an hour browsing through the alcohol shelf, and then I went to check out with literally the cheapest wine there. So maybe she thought that I was some broke teenager which wanted to try the wine for the first time. But actually, I had a very good reason for that. I was doing an adult thing, which was cooking. But I believe that when you let all the alcohol bubble up, like evaporate, then there is no point in using anything more expensive than $5. So, like, a month before my birthday, I've decided that I really want this book. So when my mom called me on my birthday to give me best wishes, she asked me, "So honey, what did you get for your birthday?" And I told her, "Guess what? This book." And what she answered? "Wow, this is really nice. Who did you get it from?" And she wasn't joking. But I probably shouldn't complain, because it meant that I got 2 birthday presents instead of 1. So here we have it, Understanding Fencing. Probably you are wondering right now, who is this guy on the cover? This is Professor Zbigniew Czajkowski, and as you probably guessed from this very complicated name full of consonants, he was Polish. He unfortunately died a few years ago, which was very sad. He was one of the world's most renowned fencing masters, and he created some of the biggest Polish stars in Olympic fencing. In some way, we could call him a grandfather of modern classical fencing. Why? Because he not modernized modern fencing. Modern fencing was already modernized, but he systemized it with its vocabulary, terminology, and theory. And on that base, modern classical fencing could grow and finally thrived. Remember, he was a modern classical fencing grandfather, or grandpapa if you watched too much of Downton Abbey recently. Only 5 seasons in 1 week, this is not that much. Cause modern classical fencing father was Marek Jeziorski. He created modern classical fencing when Professor Czajkowski was quite old, and Professor Czajkowski was one of the person to whom modern classical fencing was presented at the beginning, while Jeziorski was taking his coach classes. So here we have it, almost 400 pages of pure condensed fencing knowledge. The book could be divided into 4 parts. It is not, but it could be. The first few chapters are covering fencing actions. So we can find some useful terminology, a basic classification of fencing actions, classification of fencing actions from the tactical point of view, and at the end, some remarks about tactics. Then there is a part about how physiology and psychology affects a fencer, his efficiency of his training, and also his result as a competitor. Language. So there are chapters about motivation and arousal, the coach's role in students' motivation, and also a few chapters about types of fencers. We can distinguish few types of fencers, and this is actually quite a fun part to read because you can find yourself in these types. For example, you can distinguish types like a warrior or technician, and it always reminds me of reading teenage magazines, because at least in girl teenage magazines you have these quizzes which tell you what type of girl you are. If you are, I don't know, if you are a party girl or maybe staying at home girl, and what you can do with your life. Probably in teenage men magazines you don't have stuff like this. What do you have in such magazines? Like cars, porn, city games? I don't know, tell me. I've never read anything like that. But it probably wasn't very dignified comparison between this book and teenage magazines. Okay, then we have what do we have next? Yeah, I know. Then we have a part about designing the training process. Czajkowski raises here a problem, the topic of cycles and periodization in training, and also he distinguishes 4 stages in the fencer's career. So there is an introduction stage, then basic stage, I think, then competition stage, and at the end, champion stage, which, God help us, we will all finally reach. And last but not least, we have the part covering in great details individual lesson. Again, we have many types of lessons, we have characteristic of each and every one of them, and also what is the purpose of every lesson, because every type prepares the pupil for different situations in battle. in battle too, if they by some accident ended up in a battle in which not white weapon swords were used, but this is not very probable. In duel maybe, but in a bout. B and B here, so you see the mistake. Czajkowski also tells us how we should choose right exercises for right type of lesson, and again things about we should remember why choosing them, and also he shows the most often mistakes made by less experienced coaches. For example, he says that very often coaches choose exercises only from the coach's initiative or the student initiative. And this is a mistake, because exercises which are conducted on coach's initiative, they prepare the pupil to react in fight, for a specific signal. But he doesn't have to only react, but he also have to do strokes, techniques from his own initiative. That's why this is very important to do both in individual lesson. And what is important, in my opinion, this is a great part, even for people who do not work in the individual lesson system, because this knowledge can be very easily and effectively applied also to the The part which was my favorite was the first one, that's this one with terminology and fencing actions, because in my opinion, it is very, very useful to have this knowledge, and that way you can analyze your bouts better. You can see if you can, check all the actions and make sure if you do all of them, if your fencing style has enough variety, and what is missing. It increases your fencing self-awareness really much when you have this systemized knowledge in your head. So this was the part which I really read from cover to cover. From the rest of the book, I more like skimmed through because I've read a lot of different Czajkowski's book written in Polish, I think like 4 of them maybe, and they were covering these topics in big details, so I just checked if everything is more or less the same, and it was, though I'm probably going to read it again, this time more carefully, but you know how it is when you get the new book. You want to, devour it all in one night. So usually it's better to come back and do it again. So, all in all, for whom is that book for? I don't know if it was grammatically correct, because I feel like I said it from the back, not from the beginning. This book definitely is not for someone who is looking for historical plates, as you probably guessed after 5 minutes of this video, and from the cover, which is obviously from Olympic fencing. But this book is not only for Olympic fencers. It is mainly for someone who wants to be a coach. There is a lot of really, really good, intense, systematized knowledge about fencing. It will give you a very good base on which you can build your coach skills. But even if you don't want to be like an official coach in your club, it is also a good position for you if, for example, you are in some small unofficial HEMA group and you want to train with your friends. This will be a great position for you to get the knowledge, of course, but also to design your training in the longer run, and also to design your own exercises, because this knowledge here is quite not unique, universal. It's quite universal, so it can be applied to different weapons. So, for example, rules of designing exercises can be applied, for example, to a sword, not only to an EP, a saber, or what they also have, the foil. I'm, for example, using the knowledge from this book to train a rapier with a dagger. So you can do it too. And also this is a great position for everybody who just want to build their fencing self-awareness, who want to communicate better with their fencing mates or with other coaches. And also, as I told you before, it greatly helps with analyzing your own training and your own bouts. You can see what you're doing, what you are not doing, and what you should be doing. So I would say that, at least for all these situations which I mentioned, that this would be really good way to spend your $30. That was actually so sad when I got the news that Professor Czajkowski died. I mean, I didn't know him personally. I always had this dream that one day I will go to his classes, like classes for coaches. But I wanted to be a better fencer first, so I didn't want him to see that I'm not perfect, and he died before I achieved that goal. But he was like a role model for a lot of MCF coaches, and also he was such an acknowledged teacher that a lot of our coaches was taking his classes. But you know, my whole fencing life, everyone were talking about him, and now he's gone. So the only way he can be still with us are his books, and probably there are some recordings of him, but I've never seen anything. Of course, people he taught are carrying his legacy throughout the world, but you mean it's the next level. Okay, the book job topic is done, so can we now focus on this lovely wall, which is right beside me, like behind me, and it is made from the acoustic panels, so my voice should be really nice and lovely and seductive now, but it's probably not. But it should be still better than in previous videos. And I also really like this navy color. There was few different colors to choose, but I thought this was the best one because orange is... I look so bad on orange background, you have to trust me. But when I bought it and installed it on my wall, then I discovered, wait, I knew that, but then I realized that half of my wardrobe is blue. Like literally half of my clothes. Everything is navy. So now I don't know what will happen if I put on me navy clothes and sit in front of the navy wall. Will I be invisible? I have to check that in the next video. Okay, that's all for today. I think that we have to stop here because I'm starting to get strange ideas and a lot of giggles. So remember to give this video a like and subscribe the channel if you still haven't. Choć ja wciąż totalnie nie rozumiem dlaczego. It was me telling you in Polish that I would really like you to subscribe my channel. And write down in the comments if you think this book is interesting, is it for you or maybe totally not? And if you don't have an opinion, then write there a watermelon, because I like watermelons and I have to wait like 5 months for the next watermelon in shops. Okay, that's all for today. Bye! Oh, and ring the notification bell so you get a notification every time I post the video, and now it's especially important because of the pandemic and as I told you at the beginning of the video, poor health of Marek, I will post rather unregularly. I don't know when, so that way you won't miss it, and I think it's important. Nerwowanie, ekscytacja i przez to mi się trzęsą ręce.
Kamera rolling, akcja.